So I'm lounging towards my senses of looking through TikTok, which, by the way, after hearing a lot of myths of shutting down the TikTok platform by deadline because they made too much money, but then it was too late because billions of people had already left it. So I'd still recommend you to follow my TikTok in the link in the description. Where was I? Oh yeah. But before I get into that, have you ever experienced such tiring work? And all that laziness that's still haunting you lately after getting out of bed in the morning? Yeah, we all get that. And to the point of avoiding all that is to increase your energy levels pretty much by caffeine or other elements as adapted into food products. Which could be a doubt in my mind. But as I'm swiping through randomly, I found this.
Most people, especially young people, probably don't realize that they're walking around right now at about 55%, maybe 60% of their true state of normal. There is an element missing from their body that if they knew what it was, would make the difference between them being an average person and being a superhuman.
How?
Everything that we put into our bodies gets converted into the usable form. If you cannot make this conversion, you have a deficiency. And it is this deficiency that leads to these conditions. They have accepted something as either a consequence of aging, stress, or their environment. That's not a consequence of any of those things. I'm going to tell you exactly how to find out what it is that's missing so you could thrive in a way that you probably never thought possible.
Who are you?
I think you know exactly who this guy is. Okay, I think you know enough. But over the years, there were many talks a lot on treatments towards health problems and resolutions. And Gary Brecka is one of the top-notch of biologists, so-called the ultimate human, who brought up some reasonable predictions on why people within good health are still living a shorter period amount of time and struggling to make living easier, or as in, I can predict when you'll die. Out of the Diary of a CEO podcast. And I know for a fact that it is because of the way how people don't treat themselves well and a way of doing. Things like that can be sent for doctor visits with some results that may not be purifying. Instead, they just procure living temporarily with med prescriptions.
Let's use Dana White as an example.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they brought this person up for some reason. But imagine becoming older like Dana White, who had been predicted from now to die in 10.5 years.
I've been talking to doctors.
I had the best doctors that you could get from the best hospitals. None of them could stop snoring. None of them could get my blood pressure under control. None of them could get my cholesterol, good and bad, leveled out.
None of them could fix any of my problems.
And none of his doctors could be able to help him.
So LabCorp calls us and says, hey, we have a life-threatening alert on a patient. He had all of these conditions. He said, I'm surprised he could even sleep through the night without choking, gagging. He's like, slammed his hand down. How did you know that?
And then Gary saved Dana's life and gave him 10 weeks for a protocol, as instructed.
If you don't do what we're going to ask you to do, you have a life expectancy of 10.4 years.
And somehow, besides doctors prescribing him pills, Dana White had finally done whatever he was instructed to do and triple extended his life expectancy for good.
He had such a material change, and he was like, I had no idea I could feel this good.
And his life expectancy?
Almost tripled.
Someone who's just heard that at home, where do they start?
So
I can answer that. Gary. And not only Dana White faced a reset keto diet and exercise for 10 weeks, but it's all because health experts, as well as biologists, had already discovered an element like amino acids out of every other elements that can bring people's minds and energy boosted in advance and can change the health society for the future, with extra life expectancy to prevent from deficiency, with the effects of these consequences, and under their own terms. And as such, I'll just let Gary tell you the rest.
This is because, you are not quieting the mind at the pace that you are exciting the mind. So in other words, when you lay down to go to sleep and your environment quiets, your mind starts to wake up. So you need to be distracted so that your mind doesn't continue to run. But if you just put the right amino acid balance, in fact, I would bet my career you have this gene mutation. I will pay for your test if you don't. It's $599. It's a cheek swab you do once in your lifetime, and it will tell you if you have this gene mutation, COMT. And if you do, I'll tell you exactly what supplement to take, and it will become a permanent thing of your past.
What supplement can I take? Don't end your sentence there, Gary.
So it's called L-Theanine.
I'll take that from there, Mr. Brecka. Except to pronounce it wrong. L-Theanine. 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 L-Theanine is an amino acid found primarily in green and black tea and some mushrooms. I'm not sure if it could if it could help ease anxiety, stress, and reduce insomnia. Okay, that makes sense. So there you go. Out of what I've been seeing from TikTok many times, I can't help bring this kind of crazy idea outside of my annoying brain and to make it happen. And to make it happen, I'm going to put the amino element to the ultimate test. Not only for its life expectancies that varies, but its energy drinks that consumes caffeine better than coffee or any other kind of products alike. And I'm more of a coffee guy. Which is the perfect hot caffeine beverage for burning my tongue. But as far as organic drinks that does support most of your body,
You smell like vomit.
and even fizzy energy drinks,
How's that even edible?
very unhealthy. Except Prime, I guess. And of course, they all have contained caffeine, but without L-Theanine in it because the beverage law disregards it. I can't guarantee its energy boost so rapid enough. Eventually, because of carbohydrates and sugar that makes your day miserable with tiresome and makes weight gaining totally unstoppable, and with bitter taste. Which I'll have to avoid, and I was gonna go with supplement pills, but I'm still not that intentional of taking meds that often, as I would be afraid if I miss a day without taking meds as instructed by doctors. So I'm gonna need something intentional to enjoy for my needs. And I know just the thing for that.
I'll tell people about some stuff that I have no affiliation with. NeuroGum is one of them. We always keep NeuroGum in the studio.
Yeah.
We go through 4 or 5 boxes of that stuff.
And
every month.
NeuroGum really works?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh wow.
It's got theanine in it and caffeine and a couple other things. And what it does is it enhances your memory.
Which is why I got these. From a podcast episode also brought up on TikTok. What Joe Rogan just spoke of is this NeuroGum, which contains only 3 ingredients. Powered with natural caffeine, balanced with L-Theanine, and infused with B vitamins, because this is leveled for energy and focus. Now you might be familiar with NeuroGum in the first place. And speaking of which, it all started a few years ago with 2 Asian American college athlete founders from Los Angeles, Kent and especially Ryan, on a wheelchair. Then 2 years ago, they both have thrived to sell $750,000 for 5% of their gum product to the sharks of ABC's entrepreneur gaming TV show, Shark Tank. Another the very first logo, they like to make them laugh.
More.
And just when the sharks also said they wanted even
Too much more.
there's a reason behind that. But firstly,
Coffee's great, but it doesn't fit in your pocket, and you don't want to be running around with it.
Oh, and don't get me started on energy drinks. We wanted clean, balanced energy, something that can be taken anytime, anywhere.
So that's why we created NeuroGum and NeuroMint.
they brought up the product and set up the company goals and reasons out of it. Then it turns out to be a bouncing and confusing mix of deals, as if they would go from beginners to selling globally in retail. With a couple outs and then another out. Then Robert offers $1 million for 20% in stake, but then argued over ups and downs on this deal, and the valuations until they disagree with $7 million for 14%. And then Kevin, a Nero's deal with a royalty of 50 cents out of more being supplied on each unit, sold to reach $1 million being paid. Another disagreement. With no deals ahead, they're out. So these guys here came here for nothing.
Those were great guys.
But they'd never give up that easily with or without the Shark Tank, obviously. Instead, they sell from scratch, and the product sales expanded rapidly. And here we are 2 years later, going from no deals to the enchanting dreams come true. And today, I'm going to try them out. Right from the local pharmacy store in the area where I live.
I can't believe they're actually here. I cannot wait to test this out.
This kind of category came in a variety of flavors, and then most of them are in different categories with other different flavors, especially the weakest being rated. And I never knew that it's a vegan product while I bought 2 packets of nice supplemented gum. In fact, every other product can be consumed as vegan. Alright, enough talk. So I have 2 packets of nice supplemented NeuroGum, which is equal to 18 gum chewing capsules. And I'm going to take a couple days or so to put this supplement to the ultimate test on its ability skills and to see how my body is treated and reacts when avoiding deficiency and summoning my intentions in accordance to its energy and focus. The packaging is well processed and sealed with aluminum with a soft opening, like medicine being packaged. And the gum capsule looks a little bit more like icebreakers, with the NeuroGum logo carved in the shape of a common daisy, and it's going straight to my fellow nourishing and chewing machine of my face. My ugly mouth. And by the way, the flavor I've got is peppermint, according to the color of the packaging, turquoise. I like spearmint better, which is available but not available where I got it from. And you might be familiar with how your first bite of peppermint has senses that goes through your nose, as if you were to take some peppermint candy, for example. And very unlikely, but brushing your teeth. And rinsing your mouth. And maybe you might have noticed this before, but do you remember icy hot pads for your joints and lower back pain? Well, they have enough sprays. You can imagine how strong this sense is and spreads everywhere.
Oh, that was so strong.
Yeah, that for example. That's because the methanol of the peppermint has gone to the nostril passage through the back of your throat. Even I would imagine feeling this kind of experience from another angle.
I did not have to show them that.
Okay, now on to the process. So I almost forgot to mention that each capsule is measured to 40 milligrams of caffeine, which is good. And I'm also instructed to take 1 to 2 pieces as needed. Now the supplement takes about 5 to 10 minutes to act up. And it's been 5 minutes so far. And in that time, I can feel some energy flow changes, from being tired to being fully awake. I can shake up my body, as in doing warm-ups, stretches, pretty much some basic exercises. And speaking of exercising, I just realized the day that I took NeuroGum was the day that it snowed over the last few hours. So I thought to myself, I should gear up, barely gear up, and start shoveling the snow. Even if it haven't snowed much, but it'll be worth good exercise while I'm still chewing NeuroGum. But until then, I'm going to test my energy skills by shoveling out this gigantic driveway in minutes. Don't believe me? Well, allow me to demonstrate. be expecting to become bored of the shoveling job. However, since I'm shoveling in a short amount of time, non-stop, I felt like the energy has started to kick in, and I went from oversized laziness to extraordinary athlete. Say less, I've done the entire driveway in seconds. Even moving our car. I think this feels great of how energetic I became. It feels like I'm a farmer in the field taking responsibility of our land. Better than doing nothing, which is some of the things I've always dreamed about. I guess. That was good exercise. And similar to snow shoveling, I would like to do something else like that to improve my exercising skills. And that is why I fully recommend you to take NeuroGum for the gym. And by the way, I also almost forgot to tell you that I'm not kind of a gum chewing guy. Until I realized when I found out that if gum in general can be productive to L-Theanine as an ingredient, I should definitely get used to these. You might be familiar with chewing gum in the process, especially when you're finished with it. Well, let me tell you a secret. I used to swallow it for no reason. Well, not anymore. And here's a main tip for you. They should always be disposed after the gum-flavored coating dissolves. And they can be reused for the future. And afterwards, I haven't done anything for today, so I waited until nighttime to get to bed for the next day. In someone else's room. And at that following moment, I felt a little nauseous getting out of bed. And went to take another chew dose of NeuroGum for day 2. And I'm sorry that I'm filming in this kind of debris out of order. But this sets up as a perfect example to clean up this room. Literally covering my day. Starting with my clothes, not knowing which one's dirty or which one's clean. I just set them in a pile for later and straight into the basket to get them ready for laundry. Although I found some of my other clothes on top of the bed tended to be clean. So I fold them up to a pile. Now I've realized that I've been trying to find enough free time, or let's just say that I didn't have enough intention to tidy up my room sometimes. Eventually, because we moved in 2 years ago, and we're almost caught up on finishing whatever's left to organize and to keep everything in place. So with a few of my clothes folded and out of the way, I moved on to cleansing. Scraps of trash, and emptying the garbage can. Then this shoe rack can be useful in this closet. With enough space in it, I could be able to have access to put some pairs of shoes on it. And if they were meant to be hidden. I usually have leftover junk devices and souvenirs, if only I have a proper spot to put them. and eventually in these boxes, so I can find enough time to deal with them a little bit later. Then I've separated waste with recycling bottles. Maybe because I usually like to stay hydrated in a room better than the kitchen. And then a little bit of organizing. And as such, I moved this ironing board and the steam iron to a proper space spot to iron some clothes with. And then replaced this spot with just a regular table to be converted as a coffee stand right after I removed all this fabric debris to a proper spot. And this goes without saying it, but pretty much this room is filled with stuff across the table, and it's ready to be sent out or to be given away. But I don't have to worry about that now. And when I said a coffee stand, I meant by bringing the coffee brewer to a table, and then the rest of the coffee stuff will be on the way. Once I'm taking a lot of time trying to figure out where to position this ridiculous machine at. Or I could just finish one of the things left. Vacuuming, fixing the bed, and there you go. A perfect bedroom. Fully and neatly cleaned up. Yeah, you're right. I'm kind of a tricky person for you. And you did remember one cheating scenario of cleaning up your room, but then expose of the mess on your back. Well, let's just say behind the scenes. Okay, full disclosure, I haven't done much filming, but I have attempted to take another dose after the next 6 hours. Then I had to jump to 3 days later without filming. And in that time, I had 2 doses a day each day, and I felt a bit overwhelmed, confused, and totally nauseous, with a bit of a headache, even if I am energetic. And maybe because it might have given me a bit of a side effects. When you begin the trial of energy and focus medicine, and I bought 2 for some reason. I finished one of them, and then there's one more. And I already knew that this stuff is still available in stores with a variety of flavors. Even if I thought I'd go back to taking these supplements again, I just can't be sure how vulnerable I'll be in terms of my side effects. So in the end, I finally learned that NeuroGum that contains L-Theanine does work for your energy levels and focuses with positivity. And this stuff is perfect for your body, besides pills, and I fully recommend it. It just depends on your comfort of your brain, and sometimes your body that determines strength, mobility, mind controls, and more. Out of the original consequences, this could be determined as another set of consequences, which needs to be avoided. So it may be an obvious choice for you, but for me, on the safe side, I would recommend giving the word to your doctor before you. Too late. The doctor called me. Not again.